She might be off the boat now because she was on the boat last Sunday.
Welcome everybody. Today our service is all about once in a lifetime. So first of all, I think we'll light the candle.
On you go.
So we can get it to work.
Perfect, it's a good one, that.
So we are constantly affected by experiences, but we have a once in a lifetime experiences which leave a lasting mark in our memories. We may explore the memories that we personally have and that we share, and how we too make a mark in other people's lives. Some people chase these once in a lifetime occurrences without thought of consequences, and some let them pass by as though they were commonplace. This is a time to reflect on our own journey and what holds true in our minds as being the once in a lifetime events that changed us. So before we get into it, we can sing our first song. First thing. Thanks be for these.
Eyes
So I was doing a bit of research, thinking what motivational kind of poem or story that I could bring here today, this morning. So I decided to bring the story of Barack Obama. I don't know how much you really know. Me personally, I know very little, quite ignorant of things that happen over the pond. But here we go. Barack Obama achieved the unthinkable in becoming the first African American president in the United States of America. Along with being the 44th president of the long list of names, he has broken his fair share of life barriers, as well as achieving unimaginable accomplishments throughout his life. Barack Obama grew up without a father figure to lead him through his life, as his father had abandoned him and his mother when he was just the age of 2. This would go on to prove even harder for Barack when he realised his father had died in a car accident in Kenya some 19 years after he had abandoned Barack and his family. Barack also had the struggles of being stuck within a mixture of cultures, having connections to the white community, the black community, and the Hawaiian community. And when he moved to Indonesia with his mother, the Indonesian Catholic and Muslim communities. He attended both forms of religious schooling during his time in Indonesia. And despite not coming from a religious household himself, he embraced this. He could have very easily hidden away in fear of all the cultures he faced in a new country. But instead, he embraced them and attempted to learn and educate himself through these new experiences. Obama lacked a father figure or role model in his life when approaching his adulthood, and when deciding to try and live his life as a black man, despite his connections to all these different cultures, he was confronted with self-doubt and confusion as to what it truly meant to live his life as an African American man. During his time as President of the United States of America, he achieved a lot. One of his legacies is that he passed almost 300 bills towards assisting the poor, as well as children and the elderly of the nation. Now, if I'd just stand and list all his achievements, I'd probably be here for some time. So I just listed one, which I thought quite poignant. We all know Barack Obama, and we have all been influenced by this one man in one way or another. He took his opportunities to be who he wanted to be and touched billions of people's lives all around the world. Whether or not he became President of America would not change the fact that he would still have affected many people's lives in one form or another, just like we do. You may categorize each of these influential moments as being good or bad. Sometimes what we consider to be bad turns out to be positive. What we consider to be good turns out to be negative. We put specific meaning on what we experience, which can sometimes change when we fully understand the outcome all the time. Just like Barack Obama, we all have once-in-a-lifetime moments which carve out our path through life. In this respect, our human existence is no different. Something to really think about, we can affect so many people in our lives. Some people, that's quite a lot, and some we may think we only affect so many, so few. As we will find out, that might not be the case. But before we go on, we'll go to our next hymn. This one's We Celebrate the Web of Life.
Oh
once-in-a-lifetime occurrences. You might be interested to know that there'll be a 6-planet alignment called a planet parade, which can be seen in a couple of days, on 21st of January, right through to February. It's best seen after sunset. You'll be able to spot 6 of the 8 planets in our solar system: Saturn, Venus, Neptune, Uranus, Jupiter and Mars, scattered across the sky until around 9 p.m. Which is quite spectacular if you think about it. So here is a representation of what that might look like. And as you can see on the screen, on the 2nd of March, you'll see a 7-planet alignment across the sky. So here you have Saturn, Mercury, Neptune, Venus, Uranus, Jupiter and Mars. And they all will align in a sort of arc and sort of group together a little bit. 4 of them, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter and Mars, will be easily visible to the naked eye. For Uranus and Neptune, you'll have to get a pair of binoculars or a small telescope. And Saturn will be the most difficult to target. Apparently, this will not happen again for another 400 years. So there lies a once-in-a-lifetime, opportunity. The comet C2024G3 Atlas passed by the Earth on Monday, January the 13th. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, as this only happens once in every 160,000 years. So imagine that. At its closest point, the comet came within 1.8 million miles of our Sun, which seems a long way, but in cosmological terms, pretty close. So some astronomical events can be quite rare. I dare say I've missed many opportunities to observe some of these. But does it really matter? Did it make a difference? Would it have made a difference to my life if I had observed all of them? Who knows? For those who follow astrology, we predict our life patterns around such things, because some believe that our energies can be influenced by certain cosmic alignments. Now, science would say, well, it's a bit split on this, but science would generally say this doesn't make a difference to us. Some might say, just like the moon has influence because our bodies are 70% water, has that push-pull influence. And the sun obviously influences, through the day, it's nice and warm. If you think about it in our own lifetimes, that's, it's quite constant. The sun rises in the morning and it sets at the evening. And that's pretty predictable, but over millions and millions of years, eventually the sun is going to dim and fade. And of course that will make a big effect on the Earth. We're not going to see it in our lifetimes, but over a finite time it will change. And so many, in over thousands of years, have used the planet alignments to mark many things, some of which have been the seasons, passing of time, the months, as well as, if you read your astrology charts, if you're into that kind of thing, will affect your daily comings and goings. For the Chinese, this is the year of the wood snake, a zodiac cycle associated with wisdom, intuition, and renewal. Every 60 years, an animal, in this case a snake, and an element such as wood align, offering a year full of unique energy, particular characteristics. It is attributed with qualities such as cunning, introspection, and an innate ability to overcome adversity. The energy of the snake is also related to transformation, as this animal sheds its skin to renew itself, a powerful symbol of personal and spiritual evolution. Combination of the snake and wood creates a special synergy in which the introspective and transformative energy of the snake blends with the expansive and balanced nature of wood. So to explain a little bit more, in China there are 5 elements: fire, water, earth, wood and metal, which is different to what we might normally know as fire, water, earth, wind and spirit. So during my training, is one of these, in Taoism, it's one of these things I researched. So, characteristics of the wood snake. Now, if you know anybody that's going to be born this year, these are the characteristics that you might expect. So people born under the sign of the wood snake tend to have a balanced, calm and reflective personality. They are individuals with great analytical skills and deep interest in understanding the mysteries of the world themselves. Some distinctive traits of this are wisdom, intuition, patience and persistence, creativity, empathy and diplomacy. And their strengths: great capacity for analysis and strategy, ease of adapting to change, ability to communicate ideas persuasively, creative energy that manifests itself in the arts and problem solving. And the weaknesses of this particular person: tendency to be overcautious, which can slow down decision making, difficulty in sharing emotions or trusting others fully, possibility of being overly perfectionistic or critical of self and others. Now, so I'm going to just share with you a bit of my research I did on myself concerning this. It's not something I really put much stock in at the time, but following Taoism for 6 weeks as part of the course, I looked into a project, and one of them was eating for balance. And so that eating for balance was very specific and in the energies that was around on the day I was born. So I was born in November, and so normally my star sign would be Scorpio, as I never really looked at how that influenced me. But for China and Taoism, my sign was sign of the goat, which I thought very flattering, but So the day of my birth, it was yang metal. So that meant that certain energies were prevalent when I was born. And so the chart on the left here splits that percentage up into different elements. So you've got wood or wealth, which is 14%, fire and power is 28%, resources and earth 34%, self, metal 24%, and expression, water 0%. Oh. What does that mean? What does that mean? Who knows? But my research told me that I'm a particular type of person, and as I read that, I thought, well, yeah, I can believe that. And because of these energies, it meant that my internal organs had a value associated with it. And as you can see on the right, my gallbladder 0. So potential with problems there, apparently. Liver 2, lungs 1, large intestines 3. Anything 2 and 3 is good. Stomach 1, spleen 3, heart and pericard 6. Apparently that's overactive. Small intestines and triple warmer 1, bladder and kidney 0. Okay, so that, for me, in my research and my ways of eating, led me to look at, well, I should be focusing more on these 0s and 1s, and maybe the 6 and bring that down a bit. So there's a whole list of things I could eat to balance that. So I worked out everything that I could eat which would make these balance effectively. And I looked at all these ingredients. I thought, it just looks like healthy eating. So I cut out all the bad stuff and eat healthy. And over time, that worked for me. I naturally lost weight. There's a few things that I would have ignored through my life, which went away and wasn't a problem anymore. So whether this is correct or not, whether this is something which I should be focusing on or not, it did have a positive effect in my eating habits. So I continue that diet to this day. I've lost a lot of the things that I used. Your bad habits come in, and I start, eating the wrong things again. But at least I have a chart here which I can go back to at some point and maybe start eating healthily again. But all these elements that are prevalent in these particular days that we are born and the particular times in our lives, they come and go. And again, it's how much effort do you put into it? Where does these choices come from? And so for me, this was a once-in-a-lifetime event that I did the research, I made the choices, and the benefit of that is I have a healthier lifestyle. That's just one of the elements. When I was young, I had so this is my own life story now. When I was young, very young, pre-teen, the teacher would say, "What are you going to be when you grow older?" I didn't know the foggiest. Some people wanted to play golf as a profession. Some people want to be a racing driver, which was a best friend of mine, and thought, of course, he wanted to be a racing driver. I wanted to be a racing driver, it was natural. But it made me think even at that young age, and then before I became a teenager, I thought, I want to have 3 kids young, get married young, 3 kids young, a nice quiet house in the country. That was the ideal, I obviously was influenced by parents and other people around me. But I thought, that's what I want. And as I went into work, I had other ideas. I worked on a machine for 8 hours a day, and it was very tiresome and it was very hard work. And I thought, I want to be a person who writes all these programs that control these machines. I didn't even know it was a thing back then, I just thought it'd be a good idea that. And life sort of brings you these opportunities to actually grasp these ways of getting what you want. Or, in my case, I had a opportunity to go and do an AutoCAD course. It was free. It was part of ways of getting people into work. I didn't know how I was going to use this, if I would use it, but I wanted to do it, and it interested me. As it happened, I eventually started writing programs for these machines. And using one of the skills was I used AutoCAD to do the more complex ways of programming. If you think of 3 axes, that's quite easy, up, down, left, right, and backwards and forwards. And then you add something that can turn here and something that can turn there. So 5 axes. It's very hard to imagine, especially when you're programming. It becomes very difficult. So I use this new skill that I learned to help me overcome that. There's one thing that we used to do is program a sinusoidal curve on a piece of metal. Now to do that, you have to program 360 movements. To calculate each one of them would be a very long, laborious job. So you have to be perpendicular to the sine for each movement. I know it seems complicated, but we figured a way of doing that. And AutoCAD was one of the tools I used to be able to do that. And so you can see, this opportunity I took led me into having bigger and better opportunities throughout my lifetime. And then eventually I programmed these machines full time for 6 years, and it was a great time, loved it. But then in my 30s, I realized, I reflected on my life, and I thought, I got married young, I had 3 kids when I was young, I'm doing a job that I always wanted to do, I've got the house in the countryside, I lived on Haddo, in the middle of the country, surrounded by fields. And I realized I had got everything that I ever wanted in life. And this was a goal I set myself, and I thought, wow, what do I do now? I felt a bit lost. But obviously I got to that point to enjoy life and to experience these things. I always thought life was all about chasing a goal. I never thought, once you get there, what do? You enjoy it. And that's what I did for a good few years. But opportunities never stopped coming. And my career kept moving, as well as the place where I lived. And so, you could say that these were all once-in-a-lifetime events that changed me to being who I am and to where I am now. So I consider myself to be very fortunate as I look back on my life. There have been many opportunities missed and many taken, which has brought me here today. For me, life could have looked so very different, but I'm so happy that the way it is and the way it turned out and the way I experience it. Would I change any of it? I don't see any reason not to. I'm quite happy where I am. I don't dwell on things that happened and things I missed. Maybe I could have been, some politician or a rock star or a racing driver, maybe. But these come with different challenges and different problems. So I'm quite happy where I am and what I'm doing. So my own belief and philosophy is that all variations of my timeline are all happening at once. I quite like that idea. And I'm just experiencing this one moment at this time. That may be hard to comprehend and get your head around, but it's the only thing that makes sense to me. Although it'd be a bit hard to fully explain, especially with the time we have at this moment. But I like to fully understand or have an answer for life's bigger questions, and which makes me happy to go about life and what I do. So what I want you to do right now is to take a moment and to think about all the positive things that changed your life. These once-in-a-lifetime events that brought you here today, this age, time, and place. Whether they seem significant or not, what were they? I want you to give thanks for these experiences with a feeling of gratitude. And so, while we think about this, I'm just going to play a little music. So I don't know if you came up with anything there, thought of anything which would that you could think of that really made a difference in your life. But we always have that ability to look back and think positively. I like to carry that forward. I always like to think of that as some kind of energy in which you can dip into. Whether we seize these moments or not, we leave a mark on this world. Our energy adds to the interplay of existence. Our bodies are full of energy, and as science tells us, energy never dies. It just changes form in one way or another. We play our part in the circle of life, and in the energy that we accumulate over this lifespan is our legacy. Sociologists say that even the most introverted people will influence 10,000 others in their lifetime, which is quite a lot. Every person you come into contact with is impacted in some way. The mark you leave on others is called your personal impact. How you present yourself to others and how you make them feel are factors that contribute to your personal impact. So that's an introverted person. So the average person will affect 80,000 people in their lifetime. Imagine that. So now and again, when I go somewhere, I go for a meal or I'll go to a place, I write a little review. I don't normally write reviews. I don't know how I got into that habit, but over time I've written a few reviews that I've left. And so I have had 12,000 people look at these reviews. So that's just one influence. Social media and such things is just such a connected tool that you reach so many people so very easily through all these different social media platforms. And if you think about it a little bit more, if you think about 10,000 people who you might have influenced, and they affect or connected with 10,000 people over a lifetime, that's 100 million people which has been touched. That's quite an amazing thing to think about. So how is all that worked out? So here's the maths. Assuming an average life expectancy of 80 years, with the counter on influence starting at the age of 5, because we only influence our parents and maybe a few aunts and uncles and stuff like that. If we influence 3 people a day, 365 days a year, we influence 80,000 people in our lifetime. So a person like Barack Obama, of course, he influenced millions, billions of people. But still, an introvert can influence 10,000 people, apparently. And there's all variations in between. So it's probably nice to think, how many people do I influence? I've just mentioned one thing, which was 12,000 people. So imagine in the many other ways in which I might have done that. It's quite a thought. So thinking about all the people we see and influence, sometimes we may spend our lives trying to make a statement with material things, but eventually they will all perish, just like our bodies will perish. But love, kindness, peace, and all these types of things that we share together cannot perish. We may lose them for a while, choose to ignore these things that we share, but they are never gone. Once remembered, they come alive in our hearts again. Then all the thoughts, feelings, emotions, and memories come back for us to experience as though they never left. The energy of our experiences are always available to us if we let them. If you forgot about all these things that are perishable, and what is left must be eternal. Take a moment to take that in and realize you have experienced the eternal properties of existence. How amazing is that? So while we ponder that, we go into our next hymn. From the Light of Days Remembered. Just click too far, there we go. So I come to the point where we take the light that we lit earlier, the candle, so we reflected on what journeys we have had, and when life has presented moments that may never be repeated. We give thanks for the memories and reflections and keep them close as we leave this place, knowing that there may still be times ahead where we can grasp a once-in-a-lifetime event through life experiences and the people we meet. And we can add that energy to our own lives and to our own memories. Thank you.
Oh, well, there's a lot to think about, Gary. As always, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm talking to the back of my head. Sorry. Thank you very much once again, Gary. We're very grateful to you for an interesting service. My mind's boggling, actually, to be perfectly honest, with numbers. So, tea time.
Yes, please.